Today in the shop, we're working on my C10 PreRunner, and we're about ready to get this bad boy over to the dyno and tune it. But I thought before we did that, we'd go through how we're controlling this engine. And Zach from HP Tuners, and actually the whole HP Tuners crew, is in the house to make sure this thing works perfectly. But Zach is going to talk us through all the hard parts and the software as well. He's a powertrain engineer. So let's start with what's controlling this engine. So we're going to start with the core ECU and the actual harness itself. What have we got on this truck?
We have a core ECU on this truck that is running a Gen 3 LS engine. Since we're doing a LS swap, that brings to mind the core ECU as it was designed for LS swaps. HP Tuners has a lot of experience in the stock ECU calibration and diagnostics, and we now have brought that to the standalone market.
Once you get this ECU under the hood, what LS engines are we controlling with this?
So the LS engines we support is the Gen 3 and Gen 4 LS. And we also have support for the cable and electronic throttle, and also support for the automatic 460 and 480E transmissions.
So all the popular LS stuff?
Correct.
Okay, and not only the ECU, it's also an all-new harness, right?
That's correct. Yes, so the harness was designed from the ground up. We actually did even measurements on the engine to make sure it would fit like a factory harness. So when you go to install it on the engine, it has a natural flow through the engine bay and looks like it's been well thought out.
Person home now has their core ECU mounted. They got all their harness hooked up to the engine, and they've plugged in their laptop into the ECU. What's the first thing they're going to do?
First thing they're going to want to do is load up our software that matches with the core ECU called VCM Live.
Okay.
And when you first open VCM Live, you're going to have a choice to pick your base tune file, right?
Okay.
And in this case, you're going to pick Open Tune from the PC. When you pick this, it's going to ask you what transmission you're using first. So in this case, we're going to click on manual transmission. And then it's going to ask what reluctor wheel and whether you're electronic throttle or your cable throttle. So in this case, that'll be a drive-by cable 24X base map. And then in that base map, we basically pre-select all the sensors that will connect into our harness.
Okay.
So when you first walk into the software, it's going to confirm, hey, what sensors are you utilizing off of our harness, right? Because we have all these connections here, right, on this harness, but you may not be using all of them depending on your particular setup. In this case, we have a map sensor here, right, which is required to start up the engine. And in here, we can double click in here, and we have our pre-selections for those sensors.
And because we're running turbos, we're running a different map sensor than you would normally have in this base calibration.
Correct, yes. So in the base calibration, typically it's a 1-bar map sensor, but since we're running the boost, we actually opted for the GM LSA sensor to allow us to be able to read that boost level.
Okay, all right, so we select that sensor.
Yep,
Right.
and then it's gonna pre-populate our slope and offset here, which is our scaling for that sensor,
Okay.
which is what we just selected. And your input's already pre-selected for this harness,
Okay.
right? So you really don't have to touch that, just there in case you decide to move that.
Gotcha,
So,
okay.
We have robust diagnostics in here. And you'll want to make sure your DTC bounds are also set up for whatever boost level that you are running. So then you don't accidentally hit a DTC bound, right? That you don't want to touch on.
So it's measuring the actual boost, and you can set it up here so that if that boost is outside those parameters, it'll put a check engine light.
Right, it'll put a check engine light, so then you know, hey, you need to go check out what's going on with that sensor. Like what happened? You need to go back and look at what happened and maybe adjust these bounds. So basically you do all your configuration here first, what sensors you're using. And then after that, you're gonna wanna go into Tune and Setup Wizard here. And basically what we'll have in here is, it's basically the same copy of what you just selected in here. And then for fuel injectors, we'll scroll down to fuel injectors here. And we have quite a few lists of injectors. We have the base GM injectors, fuel injector clinic injectors, injector dynamic. So the popular aftermarket injectors that people will commonly use. And in this case, we actually are running a set of Injector Dynamics 1050 injectors.
Okay.
And so we'll want to go in here and select them.
All right.
And you select them, it's gonna say, hey, this is what's changing. And then you click OK. And it will confirm, hey, that you want to change these parameters. And you click yes. And then now it's in there for you.
Okay.
So it's a critical part to make sure this engine starts up.
So if this is your first time doing something like this, before you start the engine, it may be worth just going back in and making sure that you've selected the right injectors, select the right reluctor wheel, basically just triple check that stuff before you commit to turning the key.
That's right.
And then after that, you basically have a vehicle that's ready to run, drive, take it to your tuner, and they'll go in and make it run perfect.